Episode 33. Montag was out the back door, lightly, running with the half-empty valise. Behind him he heard the lawn sprinkler system jump up, filling the dark air with rain that fell gently, and then with a steady pour all about, washing on the sidewalks and draining into the alley. He carried a few drops of this rain with him on his face. He thought he heard the old man call goodbye, but he wasn't certain. He ran very fast, away from the house, down toward the river. Montag ran. He could feel the hound, like autumn, come cold and dry and swift, like a wind that didn't stir the grass, that didn't jar windows or disturb leaf shadows on the white sidewalks as it passed. The hound did not touch the world. It carried its silence with it, so you could feel the silence building up a pressure behind you all across town. Montag felt the pressure rising and ran. He stopped for breath on his way to the river, to peer through dimly lit windows of wakened houses, and saw the silhouettes of people inside, watching their parlor walls. And there, on the walls, the mechanical hound, a breath of neon vapor, spidering along, here and gone, now at Elm Terrace, Lincoln, Oak Park, and up the alley toward Faber's house. Go past, thought Montag. Don't stop. Go on. Don't turn in. On the parlor wall, Faber's house, with its sprinkler system pulsing in the night air. The hound paused, quivering. No! Montag held to the windowsill. This way! Here! The procaine needle flicked out and in, out and in. A single, clear drop of the stuff of dreams fell from the needle as it vanished in the hound's muzzle. Montag held his breath like a doubled fist in his chest. The mechanical hound turned and plunged away from Faber's house, down the alley again. Montag snapped his gaze to the sky. The helicopters were closer, a great blowing of insects to a single light source. With an effort, Montag reminded himself again this was no fictional episode to be watched on his run to the river. It was, in actuality, his own chess game he was witnessing, move by move. He shouted to give himself the necessary push away from this last house window and the fascinating séance going on in there. Hell! And he was away and gone. The alley, a street, the alley, a street, and the smell of the river. Leg out, leg out, and down. 20 million Montags running, soon, if the cameras caught him. 20 million Montags running like ancient flickery Keystone comedy. Cops, robbers, chasers, and the chased, hunters and hunted. He had seen it 1,000 times. Behind him now, 20 million silently baying hounds ricocheted across parlors. 3 cushions shooting from right wall to center wall to left wall, gone. Right wall, center wall, left wall, gone. Montag jabbed his seashell into his ear.
Police suggest entire population in the Elm Terrace area do as follows. Everyone in every house in every street, open a front or rear door, or look from the windows. The fugitive cannot escape if everyone in the next minute looks from his house. Ready!
Of course. Why hadn't they done it before? Why, in all the years, hadn't this game been tried? Everyone up, everyone out. He couldn't be missed. The only man running alone in the city tonight. The only man proving his legs.
At the count of 10 now. 1, 2.
He felt the city rise.
3.
He felt the city turn to its thousands of doors. Faster! Leg up, leg down!
4.
The people sleepwalking in their hallways.
5.
He felt their hands on the doorknobs. The smell of the river was cool and like a solid rain. His throat was burnt rust and his eyes were wept dry with running. He yelled as if this yell would jet him on, fling him the last 100 yards.
6, 7, 8.
The doorknobs turned on 5,000 doors.
9.
He ran away from the last row of houses on a slope leading down to a solid, moving blackness.
10.
The doors opened. He imagined thousands on thousands of faces peering into yards, into alleys, and into the sky. Faces hid by curtains. Pale, night-frightened faces like gray animals peering from electric caves. Faces with gray, colorless eyes, gray tongues, and gray thoughts looking out through the numb flesh of the face. But he was at the river. He touched it, just to be sure it was real. He waded in and stripped in darkness to the skin, splashed his body, arms, legs, and head with raw liquor, drank it, and snuffed some up his nose. Then he dressed in Faber's old clothes and shoes. He tossed his own clothing into the river and watched it swept away. Then, holding the suitcase, he walked out in the river until there was no bottom, and he was swept away in the dark. He was 300 yards downstream when the hound reached the river. Overhead, the great racketing fans of the helicopters hovered. The storm of light fell upon the river, and Montag dived under the great illumination as if the sun had broken the clouds. He felt the river pull him further on its way into darkness. Then the lights switched back to the land. The helicopters swerved over the city again as if they had picked up another trail. They were gone. The hound was gone. Now there was only the cold river and Montag, floating in a sudden peacefulness, away from the city and the lights and the chase, away from everything. He felt as if he had left a stage behind and many actors. He felt as if he had left the great seance and all the murmuring ghosts. He was moving from an unreality that was frightening into a reality that was unreal because it was new. The black land slid by, and he was going into the country among the hills. For the first time in a dozen years, the stars were coming out above him in great processions of wheeling fire. He saw a great juggernaut of stars form in the sky and threaten to roll over and crush him. He floated on his back when the valise filled and sank. The river was mild and leisurely, going away from the people who ate shadows for breakfast and steam for lunch and vapors for supper. The river was very real. It held him comfortably and gave him the time at last, the leisure to consider this month, this year, and a lifetime of years. He listened to his heart slow. His thoughts stopped rushing with his blood.